Good evening, everybody. I will call this regular City Council meeting of February 26, 2019 to order. And we start with the very exciting oath of office for Richfield City Council member Ben Whalen. And Ben, if you want to go up with Beth.
And understanding.
And to the best of my ability and understanding.
So help me.
So help me God.
I'm going to sign both of these, and then you can.
Okay.
Congratulations, Councilmember Whalen. We're very excited to work with you, and we welcome you to the City Council, and we are here at your service to provide any support in getting caught up to speed that you need. Any comments from council members in welcoming Ben?
Well, I just wanted to say that any time you have somebody new, you look forward to seeing them learn and grow as they get into the issues and study the issues and actually become part of the team. And so, and Ben's taken the opportunity to meet with a lot of folks already, and so that helps, because teamwork is really the way we go. So congratulations, and I'm sure that you will enjoy it, because I used to be council from the east side at one time.
And I just wanted to say welcome to a new colleague, and really glad to have Ben Whalen joining our team here. And there really is a great collegial spirit. And I also wanted to give just a shout out to you, who ran a great campaign, and everybody else who ran a great campaign. It was just really well. It was issues focused, and I think everybody's to be commended. And clearly, you did a great job. You ran a great campaign. You brought people out. And you've always had a great rallying ability, which was demonstrated well before you ran for council. So appreciate that. Appreciate you as a colleague, and welcome.
And I also wanted to say welcome, and we look forward to working with you. And I think you ask excellent questions, you bring good viewpoints, and so it's going to be fun to hear what you have to say. So welcome.
Congratulations, council member. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, all the staff who've helped me as I'm getting started. And thanks everyone who's out here and excited and has been part of the work I've done in the community even before campaigning. So thank you, everyone. I'm excited to work together.
Well, we should remind Councilmember Whalen that traditionally the new council member buys a big box of chocolate for all of us.
We forgot to mention that.
So we wouldn't be opposed to it, if you wanted to make it even a little bigger, we'd appreciate that.
Councilmember Garcia, isn't it true there's a second box for the mayor pro tem?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, seeing that there's nobody here for the open forum, I will ask everyone to please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now I am looking for a motion for the approval of the minutes of the special City Council work session of February 11th, 2019, the special concurrent City Council HRA and Planning Commission work session of February 11th, 2019, the regular city council meeting of February 11th, 2019, special city council meeting of February 15th, 2019, and the special city council work session of February 15th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes have been approved. The next item on our agenda is the presentation of the National Weather Service Storm Ready City Certification with Chief Henthorn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council members. I want to introduce Bill Burkoff from the National Weather Service first.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, City of Richfield citizens, thanks for having me here today. Today we celebrate the City of Richfield becoming storm ready. Storm Ready is a program that was developed in 1999 as an effort between emergency managers, first responders, and the National Weather Service that work to bring severe weather preparedness and offer ways to fortify severe weather plans to cities, communities, and schools. Our first application from the City of Richfield was very impressive. Our board of Storm Ready directors, if you will, were very impressed with it, and we met with a couple of your employees, the chief among them, and we were really impressed. So here we are today to recognize the efforts that you make to keep your citizens safe and safe from the storm. So congratulations.
Thank you.
As Emergency Management Coordinator, just to give you a little bit of background on how we achieved this certification. As Bill stated, they came out and they reviewed our emergency operations plan, our emergency operations center, our mobile operations van, and also the physical configuration along with Edina Dispatch and how we responded to a storm and the resources that we have. It took us several months to achieve this certification as it was very labor intensive. Not only on myself, but my staff, and also Charlie O'Brien, who also helps me with some of the emergency management tasks. So we're one of the very few cities that have this certification. You can see the other cities on www.weather.gov, Storm Ready Minnesota, but we're very fortunate to receive this certification. It's something that we've worked very long and hard for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Chief, I just wanted to ask, can you give a couple examples of some of the things the city now has in place because of the certification, or just examples for residents?
Well, when we look at being storm ready, obviously it's something that's internal for our emergency operations plan. A lot of people don't know, but we, in case of emergencies, whether it be snow and severe snow, like what they're having down in southern Minnesota, or when we get in the spring storm season, we have emergency operations plans that we review every year. And those plans are very detailed, and it's how we respond to a storm, how we get reimbursement for a storm if there's a federal declaration, and how we move forward to get the city back in operating order. And some of those things were looked at to determine whether or not we could be storm certified.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
Any comments from council on the certification?
No, just congratulations to the city.
Just one of the many efforts that our city is doing to really go above and beyond and providing excellent services to our residents. Thank you for sharing this, and especially now in what we're seeing this winter with all the dramatic changes in weather. It's only going to be increasing likely, and this is something that will really help prepare our city. So thank you so much for your efforts.
Thank you.
All right, well, the next item is hats off to Hometown Hits. I'm trying to remember who I started with last time. Councilmember Troutman, did I start with you?
I think so.
Okay, I did. So then let's go to Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, you know, I think the best that we can do is thank our public service, our public works department, for just a tremendous job. I mean, talk about challenging and you know, the heavy duty work that that staff has really done. It's impressive, and it's, you know, I mean, it's a never ending. It seems we want it to end. So I just wanted to thank the city Public Works, and then I want to throw in I want to throw in a motion, even though it's not on the agenda, but all of us can vote on this one. I move that we quit having all this snow, and we quit having all this cold and ice, and that we replace it with sun and warmth.
Second.
Aye.
Unanimous?
Yeah.
Did you guys vote too?
Yes.
I hope so. And that's it. Thank you.
Wow, that's a surprise. Usually Councilmember Garcia has an extremely long list, but you don't tonight, so.
No.
All right, Councilmember Troutman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one item, agenda item, and one big thank you. The agenda item is for March 9th coming up, the Red, White, and Blue Days. Red, White, and Blue Days, we've announced this a couple of times, but this is the 4th of July committee, and they call it Red, White, and Blue Days because if you've never been a part of the 4th of July in Richfield, we do it big, and we do it for day after day, for 3 full days. And it's really, it's where we're at our best, I think, and of course that takes money and resources. And so what better way to raise money than to sample amazing wines in local craft breweries, or craft beers. So coming up this Thursday, Wednesday, March 9th, and that's at the American Legion Post here in Richfield. It's a great opportunity to see your neighbors, to shake off the cold a little bit, to support an amazing cause, which is Richfield, which is us enjoying each other's company. So please come if you can. And I also just wanted to encourage both our law enforcement and our neighbors. We had a neighbor this week. Somebody called because they were stuck in their house. They were frozen in their house. We have a lot of elderly neighbors, and I just want to commend everybody. Don't take it for granted that your neighbors are okay. Check on your neighbors, connect with your neighbors, and make sure they're all right, especially when we have all this weather, we have all this snow. Older folks can get confused. It's tremendous that we're becoming a dementia-free or a dementia-friendly city, and that starts with being neighborly. So we were able to do that, and as I was on my way, saw one of our officers, Officer Christian Schultz, who just, when I waved him by, he was just, you can tell, people do their job, but then sometimes people do their job with a certain esprit de corps and energy and passion. He was just really excited to help and serve and check on a neighbor. So I want to I see our chief in the back of the office. Thank you for your officers and what they do for our community, and keep it up, Richfield.
Thank you, Councilmember Troutman. I'll pass it on to Councilmember Whalen.
Yeah, two things that I have today. The first is after going through the special election process, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Beth Van Hoos on city staff. That's a lot of work that she puts in to any election, but for a special election is a lot of extra. And so thank you to her for managing all of that and keeping up with all of it. And then the second, also wanted to thank former council member, now state representative Michael Howard, and some members of the Richfield Police Department for the support this past week of the driver's license for all work at the state capitol. That I think that's important work to help our community be safer and less stressful for many of our families.
Thank you. Councilmember Supple?
Thank you. I just wanted to give us some good news here from the Arts Commission. There was a poetry contest asking for submissions for poems to be sandblasted into the eastern part of 66th Street, and the theme was Families Flourishing. We received 80 poems that were submitted. So that is going to be a fun task for the Arts Commission. They're going to start the judging process coming up in March, but we just wanted to thank the community for all those poems that were submitted and can't wait to see what we end up with. And then I just wanted to also echo the sentiments of the other council members to thank both Public Safety and Public Works for all they've done for the community in the last few weeks here with the weather and all the hazardous conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Supple. On my list, again, I just want to welcome Councilmember Whalen to our team. We are excited to have you on. I am personally excited to see how this new council works together, forms our identity, and the thing I really appreciate is that each one of us brings something different to our council, and I look forward to working together in the service of our residents. So welcome once again. Red, white, and blue days was already mentioned, but just to remind people, the 4th of July going-ons and the events, which I would say is probably the biggest event in our community of the year by far, is all the celebrations that we have for during the 4th of July. That is not a City of Richfield event. That is 100% volunteer-run community event that always needs help and support and involvement from everybody. So just to remind everyone, that is all from the love of our neighbors. So please make sure that we are all doing our part, and maybe there's a way that you and your neighbors can get together and contribute and volunteer for that as well to help it stay successful. This Friday on March 1st from 6 to 8, there is a toast to Veep. And as you all know, Veep is a great food shelf, our local food shelf, but they also have a lot of different services for seniors, for community members. They help people with housing, with transportation, and they're an essential and foundational organization that supports our Richfield residents. So come on out, and you can go to their website, and there's a page that will directly link you and help you figure out how to sign up for the Toast to Veep this Friday. They're looking to raise $20,000 for the event at their March Food and Fun Drive, and you'll have a chance to sample food from local restaurants, enjoy wine, craft beer, and soda. So please come out and support another great organization that serves our residents this Friday. Another update that I have is we had to cancel and reschedule our State of the Community. So that is my address, the State of the City. But this year we'll be doing it in collaboration with community partners from across Richfield to learn more about the state of our community, the state of our businesses, and the state of our schools. And that was supposed to be last Wednesday, but because of weather and snow, we rescheduled it to April 11th from 5:30 to 7 at the Richfield Middle School. We'll have 2 youth performances. One will be a Mexican ballet folklorico group, and then another one will be members from our high school jazz band playing as well. And it's an opportunity to come together as a community, learn more about what's happening in the city and across the community of Richfield, learn more about the visions we have for the future of a thriving Richfield, and a chance to sign up for different organizations and find ways to get involved. So that has been postponed to April 11th. We hope to see you all there. This week on March 7th, we have Richfield Chamber of Commerce Circle of Excellence Award Ceremony. That starts at 11 a.m. and goes until 1 p.m. You can go to the Richfield Chamber of Commerce website and sign up. And basically the event is focused on lifting up and celebrating different businesses in Richfield, and will recognize businesses in each of the following categories: Business of the Year, Small Business of the Year, Nonprofit of the Year, Larry Farrington Award, Business Leader of the Year, Government Service Award, the Legacy Award, and the Sports Award. So another great event to lift up the businesses in our community and get to know your neighbors as well. So that's March 7th, next week, from 11 to 1, and you can go to the Chamber website and sign up for that. And lastly, I just want to give a hats off to our communications staff, Neil. I don't know if he's here. Oh, he's not here. So he has been, he goes all over the city doing videos, shooting stories, making sure that with all these weather changes and emergency snow that residents know what is going on in the city, that they know how to stay warm and safe, making sure that he's highlighting the stories of our residents, the stories of our staff, and the stories from across Richfield. He's just been doing an absolutely amazing job. So please check out any communications piece. I mean, he's got stuff everywhere. He has stuff in the Sun Current. There's been several stories in our local news channels on TV about what's happening in Richfield, and a lot of that goes to the credit of Neil, who just does excellent work for our city in making sure that people know what is happening here. And that is all I have. So the next item is the approval of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda has been approved. The next item is the consent calendar, and that goes to City Manager Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the City Council in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved.
Right here, yeah.
The items on this meeting's consent calendar are item A, consideration of the approval of citywide meter replacement project and directing staff to solicit bids. Item B, consideration of the adoption of a resolution authorizing a land exchange with MnDOT as part of the completed I-35W Trunk Highway 62 Crosstown Commons reconstruction project. And I did just want to provide some additional context for this. It's just a housekeeping item. It's a land exchange. The agreement was made back in 2006. The T's didn't get crossed and the I's dotted, and it didn't get done. MnDOT can sometimes be slow on getting that done. So, item C, consideration of the adoption of a resolution supporting the submittal of a grant application to Hennepin County for 2019 Community Work Quarter Planning Funds. The grant application will request funds to study improvements to Penn Avenue, north of 66th Street. An award requires a 25% match by the local authority, a maximum of $12,500. And finally, item D, consideration of the approval of permanent easement agreements with Met Council to allow the necessary relocation of utilities as part of the Orange Line Bus Rapid Transit project. So I submit these items for your approval as part of the consent calendar.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
may I just make a brief comment?
Of course.
Thank you. I just wanted to just call out and thank our Public Works Director, Kristen Asher, and note that the consideration to update our water meters is just going to be a great process for the city. It's going to create not just meters. One, hats off to our staff for catching some of the problems with our meters and addressing that right away, but then also looking to update that equipment, which isn't just going to update the meters, but I understand it's going to give us new communication tools to be able to connect via text message and other ways and have a great dashboard. So I just want to thank you. Catching up and being cognizant of one problem is helping us solve several different challenges simultaneously. So I just wanted to thank her and acknowledge our staff.
Thank you, council member. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The consent calendar has been approved. The next item goes to Councilmember Troutman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. This next item is a public hearing regarding the City of Richfield's Wellhead and Source Water Protection Plan, Part 2, the Wellhead Protection Plan Amendment. And the City of Richfield Public Works Water Utility operates under the rules and regulations established by the Minnesota Department of Health. And the Wellhead Protection Plan for the City of Richfield addresses 7 municipal water wells operated by the city. The city's source of water and aquifers are currently not adversely impacted by contaminants, and they exceed the water quality requirements by the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act. The attached document highlights the amendments. It includes a review of the data elements, the results of an inventory of potential contaminants, a review of changes and issues and problems, and a discussion of those. And I just, without getting too much into the weeds, I just wanted to take a moment, and it's worth remarking on in this day and age that clean water is not a given. But in Richfield, we have water that is above average, and we're grateful for that. It's a treasure, it's a resource, and even though this is somewhat of a formality, I think we'll have a public hearing in a moment. But we're really grateful for the resource that we have, and thanks to staff for stewarding it so well. All right, any staff comments?
We do have Mayor and council members, we do have a short presentation about our wellhead.
Great.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Good evening. I've been asked to provide you with a short summary of your well protection plan. And as was mentioned previously, the well protection plan is required by the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Minnesota Well Protection Rules. You may be aware that the well protection plan has 2 parts. You've already
Don,
heard about.
Do you want to
Part one.
introduce yourself?
I'm sorry. I'm John Greer. I'm a hydrogeologist with Bar Engineering, and I prepared part 2 of the well protection plan amendment.
Thank you.
And well protection plans, there's 2 parts. You heard about part 1, the amendment last year. Part 2 is what I'll be talking about tonight. Part 1, you had the delineation of your well protection area and what's called your drinking water supply management area and identification of vulnerability of your aquifer. In part 2, we did an inventory of potential contaminant sources that could affect the aquifers, identified issues and opportunities associated with those potential contaminant sources, and developed a management plan so that you could address those potential contaminant sources. And Minnesota rules require that plans get updated every 10 years. Your plan was last approved in 2007. There was an extension, so that's why it's more than 10 years since the last plan was approved. And just quickly, in part 1, as was mentioned previously, you have 7 wells, you have 4 different aquifers. In part 1, what's called the well protection area was delineated. It includes both an area that's groundwater capture for the wells, the groundwater contribution area, and because there's an area in your in the capture zone that is high aquifer vulnerability, meaning it's potential for contaminants to easily get into the aquifer to affect the wells. There's also what's called a surface water contribution area. So those 2 together make the well protection area, and your drinking water supply management area encompasses that well protection area using identifiable geographical boundaries. In this case, it was parcel boundaries and roads that was used to delineate that. And your DWSMA, your drinking water supply management area, extends north into Minneapolis and over into the airport property. And then, as I mentioned, you have aquifer vulnerability ranging from high down to low across the DWSMA, and the surface water contribution area portion of your DWSMA, that vulnerability is classified as high because things get spilled on the surface could run right into the areas that could infiltrate into your aquifer. And part 1 of the plan was approved by the health department back in April of last year. Now in part 2, we identified or worked on the data elements that the health department said need to be included to address issues in the DWSMA. Did that inventory of potential contaminant sources, and that's really the meat of part 2. Identified potential future changes associated with the water supply wells, as well as issues, problems, and opportunities related to those potential contaminant sources. Identified management strategies to address the potential contaminant sources. Identified a program for evaluating implementation of your well protection plan, and also the alternative water supply contingency strategy for the city. And I won't go through all of these, but the potential contaminant source inventory identified a number of different types of potential contaminant sources, including wells. Now, those are potential contaminant sources because they can be a pathway from the surface directly down into the aquifers that your wells pump from. That's why they're identified as potential contaminant sources. And we track not only the active wells, but there's nearly 6,900 sealed wells in the city. Keep track of those because if they weren't sealed properly, they also have pathways. There's properties that potentially have what are called Class 5 disposal wells, storage tanks, chemical storage. There have been contaminant spills on some properties in the city. There's 4 old dump sites in your DWISMA. And there's about 150 properties where there are hazardous waste generators with permits. And in addition, you've got, as you see over here, these 3 natural gas pipelines that cross your DWISMA. And now the goals for the well protection program identified in the plan, first and foremost, is maintain or improve the water quality for the city. Work with Minneapolis to help protect those aquifers that you pump from. Provide information and promote activities that will protect the aquifers, and then compile data as needed to support both the implementation of the plan and future amendments to the plan. And the management actions that were identified, several categories. A big one is well management, also providing information to property owners for those other potential contaminant source properties, keeping your potential contaminant source inventory database up to date, including the well protection plan objectives and goals in your planning for future city development is very important. Educating the public on what they can do to help protect the aquifers and your water supply. And then, as I mentioned before, collecting data as to help in the future as you update the plan. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions from council? Nope, no questions. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
I would, excuse me. I would say thank you for that, and a much more thorough presentation and summary than I would have given, left to my own devices. As I worked my way through the report, my takeaway was our water was great. We're really glad for it, and I'm really glad for the professionals that help keep it that way. So without there being no comments, I would conduct the public hearing regarding the City of Richfield's wellhead and source water protection program, Part 2, wellhead protection plan amendment. So this is a public hearing. Do we have any other comments? Any comments? Seeing that there are no comments, I would move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing has been closed. There's just one comment I want to make. So I was able to go and visit our water treatment facility on Portland Avenue. I think it was last month with the Advisory Board of Health, and it was really neat to just walk through the plant and learn more about the filtration systems that we use, the process to purify our water and make sure that the water that the Richfield residents get is of excellent quality. And what I learned, one of the biggest things I learned, well, I knew this, but I didn't know this level of detail. I knew that Richfield had some of the best water in the Twin Cities, but I don't know that folks know or understand how great it is that our water comes 100% from underground aquifer sources. So it's not coming from a river, it's coming from an aquifer, and when it gets to your house, it's already softened. So City Council years ago made the decision to soften the water from the city versus making sure that residents had their own water softeners. And we were told that only 4 cities in the state of Minnesota, I believe, have softened water from 100% aquifer. So that's really great and something that I think a lot of people didn't know.
Madam Mayor?
Yep, go ahead.
I was just going to say I was really impressed reading through the report that all of the detail that went into it and how much we're looking out for the public safety, because I think we take some of these things for granted and there's a lot of thought that goes into it. So thank you all for that.
Councilmember Troutman.
I was just going to say briefly, 30 years I've lived in Richfield, we've never had a water filter, never had a water softener. Love the water. It's great. 2, for all those microbreweries out there, amazing water in Richfield, folks. You should come and come to Richfield. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. The next item goes to Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. This is also a public hearing, and I'm going to ask Director Stark if he would do this for me, because I'm just having a hard time with, and besides, I want to save my energy for the last item. So, Mr. Stark, could you please
Yes,
present this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members, and I'd be happy to pinch hit. This is the consideration of the adoption of a resolution specifying the use of funds from the Urban Hennepin County Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, allocation for 2019, and authorizing execution of a sub-recipient agreement with Hennepin County. Just by way of background, CDBG is a federal program that comes to us through Hennepin County. They administer it on our behalf on a formula basis from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. The county does allocate a portion of these funds to the city. This year, as in last year, it's estimated at $192,000. So that's an unchanged amount. And it's meant to address local needs relating to affordable housing, community development, and public services. Staff is proposing to use the city's 2019 direct allocation of $192,000 as follows. And I'm going to actually tell you a little bit about each of these programs. First is $47,100 for the Deferred Loan Rehabilitation Program. And that's a deferred loan program which provides no interest 30-year loans of up to $30,000 for low-income households to address health, safety, and property maintenance needs. And this program's been in existence in Richfield since 1984. Hennepin County administers the program on our behalf. $95,000 is proposed to be allocated to the HRA to either purchase and demolish a substandard property and work with a nonprofit developer to construct a new affordable home or purchase and rehabilitate an existing home. The newly constructed or rehabilitated property would be sold to a household earning 80% of the area median income or less. So just for reference, for a family of four, that would be combined family income of $71,900 or less. $50,000 is proposed to be allocated to the HRA for a first-time home buyer down payment assistance program. This is a pilot program that was begun last year, aimed at low and moderate income Richfield renters who are looking to buy homes in Richfield. It would provide a no-interest deferred loan of up to $10,000 to use toward the purchase of a new home, and that $10,000 is forgiven $1,000 a year over 10 years. And then finally, there is an additional portion, 15% of our CDBG allocation that can go to social service programming. Until 2 years ago, you made that decision here locally. The county changed how they do that, and the county board makes the decision on how to allocate our local social service funding. But I will tell you, they do that with input from city staff, and are, in the past, the funds have gone to home, HC, and bridging. And if you can let me know if those are things you would like staff to continue to recommend to Hennepin County to fund. So with that, I would stand for any questions you might have.
It's a public hearing. Does anyone wants to speak to this issue? This is a public hearing. Anyone want to speak? One more time. Raise your hand if you want to speak. I guess not. Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed. I did want to add just a couple comments. I don't have any questions, but some of these dollar amounts $47,000, $95,000 may seem, like, what could you do with that much money when you're looking at home improvements and supporting the homes of Richfield residents, but our city staff does an absolutely amazing job of leveraging those funds. So a lot of times they're matching dollars where families are, asked to also put in money, and there's programs and other funds that are leveraged through grants and working with partner organizations to really make this money go a very long way. And it's really great to see. We had a presentation of all of our different housing funds and programs and assistance for homeowners and renters in Richfield, and it is absolutely amazing to just see from folks who are interested in expanding their home and creating move-up housing to people who are looking to just afford, maybe there's a loan that their furnace went out and they need to make a payment for their furnace or their roof, and everything in between. We have so many different programs to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep our homes affordable for renters and homeowners in Richfield. And I'm extremely thankful for the CDBG funding, and think our staff just does an excellent job at administering those funds and making them really leveraging other sources to make that money go very far. Any other comments? I know there's the resolution. Councilmember Whalen?
Thanks. I was going to echo similar thoughts and just thank staff again for the variety of programs that we have, and that some of them have been going for a long time, and some of them are newer and more just new ideas to approach the problem, and that I think it's great that we have so many different things to support and different options for serving different members of the community in different places, that I think housing is going to continue to be a big need for people in very different situations. And so having this variety of programs is really important. So thank you.
And I just add, it's more than a decade ago that my family bought our first home, and we were able to buy it in Richfield, and we were able to use some of these programs. And my wife was working at an entry-level job for Catholic Charities, and I had just begun a law practice and made less than her probably, and we were able to purchase a home and buy it in Richfield and improve it, and we couldn't have done that without programs like this. And so they've been transformative in our family, in our life, and I know they are for dozens of other Richfield families, so I'm really grateful for it.
Yes, and I can report that we do have a down payment assistance loan that's scheduled to close next week, so there will be another Richfield homeowner next week.
That's great.
That's exciting. Any other comments?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Stark for reading the bullets that explained the particular, motion that we made. I think that when you have something like this, it's kind of complicated, and you're able to present something where people can read it and see where the money's going to, and explains it a little bit. And I think that's important in transparency. So I will try to move to adopt a resolution authorizing the use of funds for the 2019 Urban Hennepin County Community Development Block Grant Program, and authorizing the execution of a sub-recipient agreement with Hennepin County and any required third-party agreements.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. The resolution has been passed.
And thank you for helping me out, Mr. Stark.
The next item goes to Councilmember Whalen.
Next is the consideration of the approval of a second reading of an ordinance amending section 617 of the Richfield City Code regulating food establishments for consistency with recently updated state regulations, and adoption of a resolution approving summary publication of said ordinance. So the state of Minnesota Food Code was recently updated after 20 years with implementation on January 1st, 2019. Local jurisdictions are required to adopt our changes by March of 2019. And these changes include updates to definitions and terminology, food handling practices, health and hygiene standards, and equipment certification. Adoption of these amendments will ensure that Richfield can continue to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the public pursuant to the powers granted under Minnesota Statutes Chapter 145A. The Bloomington Environmental Health staff, who are experts in this area, worked closely with Richfield staff on preparing these amendments. The first reading of this ordinance amendment was approved by the City Council on February 11th, 2019. And does staff have any reports on this? Okay. Then.
And City Attorney Teachin?
Madam Mayor, this was already covered in the summary, but this really is just an ordinance to bring the code into compliance and for consistency with the changes that were made to state law. We do have Lynn Moore from the City of Bloomington here, who I just want to actually thank personally for all of her assistance with this, because she did a very thorough job in helping us go through this, and this was a very detailed work to make all of these proposed amendments, so she was very critical in helping us with that process. So she is here if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, these are fairly routine in bringing this into compliance with state statute.
Any questions?
No, I just wanted to say I appreciate working with Bloomington. They've always been very conscientious and have, and it's a pleasure to work with another municipality in such a partnership.
And thank you to Lynn for coming tonight. Thanks for being here. Great.
All right, then I will make a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance amending Section 617 of the Richfield City Code regulating food establishments and adopt a resolution approving summary publication of said ordinance.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion has been approved. Thank you. The next item will go to Councilmember Supple.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This item is consideration of the approval of the preliminary design layout for the Portland Avenue Bicycle and Pedestrian Link project from 66th Street to Trunk Highway 62, the crosstown, as recommended by the Transportation Commission. Hennepin County is the lead agency on the Portland Avenue Bicycle and Pedestrian Link project. The proposed improvements will be accomplished in conjunction with a mill and overlay of Portland Avenue north of 66th Street and new street striping. Minor curb construction will occur at the eastbound Trunk Highway 62 crosstown and Portland ramp intersection. The recommended preliminary layout of Portland Avenue was developed by Hennepin County and presented at 2 Transportation Commission meetings and 1 public open house. Concerns were identified for bicyclists, pedestrians, and motorists along the corridor. Through the process, the preliminary design was developed to address the identified corridor issues. The preliminary layout is intended to improve the conditions for each of the modes as described below. And Mr. Brose will go through that in a little while here. At the February 6, 2019 Transportation Commission meeting, the preliminary layout of the Portland Avenue Bicycle and Pedestrian Link project was recommended for City Council approval. This project has received federal funding and was the top-ranked bicycle project as determined by the Metropolitan Council. The estimated cost to the city for the project is $42,000 and is to be financed by municipal state aid. And that is the cost of 50% of the flashing pedestrian light costs. So at this point, I would like to turn it over to the staff.
Thank you. Again, my name is Jack Brose. I'm the transportation engineer. I have a short presentation that hopefully pictures can tell the story. So if we could switch to the presentation. So as I get going here, I will say there's been a great collaboration with the county on this project. They do all the work and I do the presentation. So it's a pretty good balance. All right, so the project actually goes up into Minneapolis, connects bike lanes north of 60th to the bike lanes south of 66th Street. As you mentioned, there's been some public engagement. I want to make it clear, though, it's an ongoing process at the county. Through their website, all the way through final design and into construction, they have open communications. The website is listed here. What they're proposing is, like we've done over the last decade or so, is conversion from a 4-lane to a 3-lane roadway. The sketches here indicate the road as it is today. There's no left turn lanes or right turn lanes under the 4-lane. In the 3-lane configuration, there's actually 2 travel lanes, but their efficiencies come from pulling left turning vehicles out from impeding traffic flow. And it improves safety. It actually maintains operations for both the motorized and the non-motorized. And it ultimately improves the quality of life, livability, and it's a very low cost. Again, this is a mill and overlay with no stripes. It's not a lot of construction work. There are sometimes questions we get about how can a 3-lane road or a 2-lane road have enough capacity to replace a 4-lane? This is from the Federal Highway Administration. It kind of shows if you're in California, you might say there's 25,000 cars a day that can fit on a road like this. In Michigan, they're saying it's about 18,000, 15,000. It's kind of commensurate to the Minnesota approach. Portland has about 14,000. So they did enough traffic work, and they validated that it is an option to go to a 3-lane road. The picture is just Portland as we reconstruct it to the south, showing some of these other benefits. So the bike is the main goal here, but it improves traffic separation from the pedestrians, and that center area makes it easier to cross. In our next steps, there were a couple of questions from the Transportation Commission. We're interested at the city level. We've been coordinating with the county about the roundabout at 66th Street and potentially looking at making it single-lane exits, leaving the 2-lane approaches but having single-lane exits. And they are going to have to do traffic counts this summer, do a traffic analysis, and evaluate the trade-offs for traffic and pedestrian to see if that can be done. When they're done with that study, they will share that final plan with their decision. It's their decision as to how, this is 2 county roads. We call it Portland, they call it 30. This is 35 and 53 or some, I don't know, it's a county thing. And they'll finish the final detailed plans this year and build it next year. So that's their overall schedule. I do have, can I back up? So if you look at the figure for a second, that's actually one of the roads we did a long time ago. This is Penn Avenue, but you see fundamentally it's already converted from a 4-lane to a 3-lane. The project being proposed by the county actually will add stripes along the edge between the outside edge, which will be the bike lane, and the traffic lanes, providing further safety than just even on-street bike lanes. So they're buffered bike lanes as part of their proposal. Quickly go through the maps. There was, just like on our current roundabouts we just added, they'll have the pedestrian activated flashing installed at the roundabout at 66th Street. And I just talked about, we'll look at the traffic lane configuration next year, or later this year. This is what it would look like as you get up to 64th Street. The signal stays. And there's a little bit more work as you get up to the north end to create access to the bridge. They're eliminating the, what we call a free right. So if you're going eastbound and you get off at Portland, there's kind of like a slip ramp, if you would. They're going to eliminate that and make it a better crossing for pedestrians and bikes. And they're adding a median across the street of Portland itself. And Jason's here from the county with me in case there's any questions.
Questions from council?
I just wanted to say thank you for all the information, because I know there's been a great deal of information presented at the Transportation Commission and other places for the community, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you as well for coming in and giving us a little more detail on this item. So I know at the study session, we did talk about the traffic counts and then the analysis. So will we have an opportunity? I understand that that's a decision that the county will make on the roundabout, but it'd be really nice for the council to hear and see what comes of that study before that decision is made, or how will we be kept up to date on what comes from the study?
When they're done with the study, we'll have them come back, and
Okay.
we can come to a work session or send a memo or however you want to.
Great, thank you. That would be great. I would appreciate an update from the study once the study's done. Any other questions or comments from council members?
I was going to make just a thank you for incorporating community input already, and just a reminder that will be open until the final design phase, but specifically the improved pedestrian crossings with the flashing lights at the roundabout was something that I know many residents have raised a concern about or desire for, as well as thank you for explaining again, and I'm sure you've done this before, the conversion from 4 lanes to 3 lanes, that I think that continues to be, for someone that's not at some of these meetings, confusing as to how that could possibly be provide as much traffic flow, and so continuing to remind people that this does support the same amount of traffic with the obvious improvements to safety and everything. Thank you for that reminder.
Thank you. Anybody else?
You ready for
Nope.
the motion?
All right, then I would move to approve the preliminary design layout for the Portland Avenue Bicycle and Pedestrian Link Project from 66th Street to Trunk Highway 62, the crosstown, as recommended by the Transportation Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion has been approved. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you for coming. Thanks. The next item is mine. So the next item for consideration is designating representatives to serve as the 2019 liaisons to various metropolitan agencies and city commissions. Members of the City Council serve as the city's representatives on various metropolitan agencies and city commissions. Each year, the City Council appoints these representatives. With the election of Ben Whalen as City Council member for Ward 3, the Council should consider his appointment to these agencies and commissions. So I worked on updating our 2019 Council Liaison appointment list and checked in with each of the council members, and then also took into consideration the time of day of these meetings and the frequency, and tried to spread it out as evenly as possible among council members, and also meet kind of the preferences of each of the council members, as well as timing that worked for everybody. So, and if there's changes, if folks, are going to their meetings and there's changes that people would like to make, that's totally fine. Just let staff or myself know, and we can look at switching council appointments. So for Metro Cities, which is a regional organization, we have Councilmember Troutman as the lead representative and liaison, and then we have the rest of the city council members and the mayor as alternates. And really, I think just encouraging everyone to go to a Metro Cities meeting if and when they can would be really great. It's a great opportunity to learn about what cities are working on collectively and meet people from other cities as well. The same kind of goes for the next group, which is the League of Minnesota Cities, a great organization. This is, instead of metro-wide, it's statewide, great resource for, just getting education, conferences, meeting other cities. They have policy work groups. There's a lot of resources, and they're just a great organization to call with any type of question that we might have as council members. Or educational needs. So that one is Representative Troutman, or Councilmember Troutman, and the rest of us as alternates. But again, with this one as well, I would encourage everyone to attend as much as possible. And they have several meetings I mean, and some of them are during the day and the week, and some of them are at nights and on weekends, so they try to provide a little bit of everything. For the Noise Oversight Committee, we have the representative will be Pam Demetrenko, our Assistant City Manager, and Councilmember Whalen will be the alternate. For the I-35W Solutions Alliance, Mayor Regan Gonzalez will be the liaison. Councilmember Troutman will be the alternate, and Jeff Pearson will be the staff liaison. For the 494 Corridor Commission, we have Councilmember Troutman as the liaison, Mayor Regan Gonzalez as the alternate, and Jack Bros is the staff liaison. For the school district, we have Mayor Regan Gonzalez as the representative and Councilmember Supple as the alternate. For the Friends of Wood Lake Board, we have Councilmember Whalen as the representative and Mayor Regan Gonzalez as the alternate. For the Southwest Cable Commission, we have Mayor Regan Gonzalez as the representative, Katie Rodriguez, City Manager, as the representative, and Councilmember Garcia as the alternate. For the Richfield Community Human Services Planning Council, we have Councilmember Garcia as the representative and Councilmember Supple as the alternate. For the Advisory Board of Health, we have Councilmember Supple as the liaison and Councilmember Garcia as the alternate. For the Arts Commission, we have Councilmember Supple as the liaison and Councilmember Troutman as the alternate. Civil Service Commission is Mayor Regan Gonzalez as the representative. Community Services Commission, we have Councilmember Garcia as the liaison and Councilmember Whalen as the alternate. Friendship City Commission, we have Councilmember Whalen as the liaison and Councilmember Garcia as the alternate. Human Rights Commission, we have Councilmember Troutman as the liaison and Mayor Regan Gonzalez as the alternate. Planning Commission, we have Councilmember Whalen as the liaison and Councilmember Troutman as the alternate. Transportation Commission, we have Councilmember Supple as the liaison and Councilmember Troutman as the alternate. And then the last two, the Richfield Historical Society, we have Councilmember Garcia as the representative, Councilmember Supple as the alternate, and Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Committee, we have Councilmember Whalen as the representative and Councilmember Troutman as the alternate. So that is our list of updated council appointments. And again, if you would like to make a change and find a better fit, we are open to that. I'm open to that. So just let me know how this works. And thank you so much. A lot of people may not realize that council members and the mayor not only have our monthly meetings and work sessions, but then we also do a lot of work with our city commissions and councils. So any questions or comments? Okay.
I'd just say welcome to all the meetings to Councilmember Whalen.
And I'd like to make the motion to designate the city council liaison appointments to various metropolitan agencies and city commissions for 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion has been approved. The next item is the city manager's report.
Nothing to report tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And the last item before we adjourn, I know Councilmember Garcia was saving up her energy for this one, and that is claims and payroll.
Thank you, Mayor. I really, really appreciate your support. I will move claims and payroll.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Claims and payroll has been moved. And with that, we adjourn our city council meeting.
Thank you. Excellent.